Hi, welcome to the Speeding Bulletin. My name is Steve Younis. This is your Superman news video recapping the events of the week May 13th to May 19th, 2016. Our top news stories this week included Geoff Johns is tasked with co-running DC Films, DC Comics unveils a new logo, and we're sad to report that Darwyn Cooke has passed away. Let's check out these news stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. In movie news, according to The Hollywood Reporter, current Executive VP John Berg and Geoff Johns, DC's Chief Content Officer, who successfully launched the comics label's foray into television, will co-run DC Films. Later in the day, Geoff Johns greeted a group of journalists in Manhattan to talk about the DC brand and Rebirth, but the reporters wanted to know about his new role at DC Films. He said he couldn't confirm the story, but that you can connect the dots. Even though he declined to directly address the topic, he was more than willing to talk about where he thinks the DC brand needs to go. One phrase came out of his mouth over and over again: hope and optimism. Interesting developments indeed. Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood and DC Entertainment revealed the newest star attraction on the Warner Brothers lot in DC Universe, the exhibit featuring the greatest superheroes and supervillains, with comic book fans Gene Simmons from Kiss and Jordan Clarkson from the LA Lakers. As part of the newest addition to the tour, which opens to the public on May 24th, guests will be able to explore authentic props and costumes from movies such as Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad. The exhibit also pays homage to the origins of DC Comics, including all 7 superheroes of the Justice League, exclusively at Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. Our own Michael Bailey has written a very interesting article which examines the fate of Clark Kent in Batman v Superman and compares it to what happened in the comic books of the mid-1990s. It's well worth a read. Check it out at our website now. In an interview with IGN.com, actor Michael Fassbender, who plays Magneto in the new X-Men Apocalypse film, answers the question, what if Superman teamed up with Magneto?
It's like you can just sit back and let him take care of everything and just watch the show.
Would Magneto have anything? Would Magneto work
have
well
anything
with
to offer?
Would Magneto have anything to offer if he was fighting alongside Superman?
You know, maybe if he wants to build a house, I can come around and help. As you saw at the end, you know, in this film, I'm moving into the construction phase of things. I'm building things, as opposed to sort of, tearing things down.
In TV news, the CW has officially announced that Supergirl Season 2 will air on Monday nights at 8 p.m. The Flash remains on its 8 p.m. Tuesday time slot, and with Arrow on at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and DC Legends of Tomorrow on at 8 p.m. on Thursday nights, it's a CW 4-night fest for fans next season. A 4-way crossover between the shows is reportedly in the works, and interestingly, the move from CBS to the CW might not have happened, as CBS President Glenn Geller revealed that the TV network was very close to renewing Supergirl regardless. In comic book news, DC Entertainment announced a new identity and logo for its iconic DC brand. The new DC logo is a mark that leverages over 80 years of heritage with an eye towards the future. The new logo will debut on the cover of the highly anticipated DC Universe Rebirth Special No. 1, which is written by Geoff Johns and will be available May 25th, available in comic book shops and digitally. Rebirth represents the next chapter in the ongoing saga of the DC Universe, mixing traditional values and a modern aesthetic. DC Comics released their August 2016 solicitations this week, and we highlighted for you all the Superman-related comics and products listed. Of special note was Supergirl Rebirth No. 1, in which Supergirl turns to the shadowy operation known as the DEO to restore her lost powers once and for all. But as a fateful experiment sends Kara Zor-El rocketing towards the sun, disaster strikes at home in the form of the lost Kryptonian werewolf, La-On. And Superwoman No. 1, in which Lois Lane takes flight. Now powered up with the abilities of Superman, Lois pledges to carry on the super legacy as Superwoman. There's only one problem: Lois's new powers are killing her, and neither she nor her friend and confidant Lana Lang know what to do about it. Will Lois even survive long enough to learn the deadly secret of Ultra Woman? Check out the complete list of Superman-related titles in the August 2016 solicitations at our website now. CompareTheMarket.com and DC Entertainment have collaborated to release Part 1 of Meerkat Movies: A Heroic Journey, a 16-page comic book written and illustrated by DC legends Tony Bedard and Neil Adams. The comic sees Alexander and Sergei causing havoc on the streets of LA, dressed up as their favourite superhero counterparts, Batman and Superman. Part 2 of Meerkat Movies: A Heroic Journey will launch on May 27th and will include an on-site competition which will give fans the opportunity to win one of 200 limited edition hardbound copies of the comic. Download Part 1 of Meerkat Movies: A Heroic Journey from comparethemarket.com. Comic books we reviewed this week included Action Comics number 52, which was reviewed by Michael Bailey, who said, "This is a great story, but I really love this issue," and he rated it a 4 out of 5. James Lance reviewed Earth 2 Society number 12, giving it a 5 out of 5, calling it another great issue of this series. Adventures of Supergirl Chapter 8 was reviewed by T.A. Hewitt, who gave it a 4 out of 5, saying, "Adventures of Supergirl packs more into its compressed format than the average comic renders in 3 issues. T.A. also reviewed Injustice Year 5 Chapter 21, saying, "None of this issue makes a lot of sense, but neither does Injustice for the most part," and he gave this chapter a 2 out of 5. Superman comics available this week from May 18th include Adventures of Supergirl Chapter 9 digital comic has been available since May 16th. Injustice Year 5 Chapter 22 digital comic has been available since May 17th. Injustice Gods Among Us Year 5 number 10 print edition. Superman American Alien number 7. And Superman Wonder Woman number 29. These Superman character busts make an incredible addition to any fan's collection. Get yourself the Heroes of the DC Universe Superman bust for $60. Or how about the Superman bust ceiling fan pull light chain for just $8.99. These and other Superman character busts are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. In other news, it is with great sadness that we report that Darwyn Cooke passed away on Saturday, May 14th from cancer, aged 53. It was only a day earlier that fans were shocked to learn that the talented artist had been admitted to palliative care via a post from his wife Marsha. DC Comics fans were lucky to have experienced Cooke's amazing work across both comic books and animated movies, especially the highly acclaimed DC Justice League The New Frontier. The Superman homepage extends our deepest sympathies to Marsha Cooke and Darwyn's family and friends. The 3rd episode of Season 2 of DC Superhero Girls animated shorts is now online. Titled Batgirl vs. Supergirl, the two heroes face off in their greatest battle yet, the last piece of superfood cake. Find out who is quick enough to snag it. New episodes debut bi-weekly on the DCSuperheroGirls.com website and their YouTube channel. The annual Superman celebration is taking place across June 9th to June 12th in Metropolis, Illinois, and the Superman homepage will once again be holding a meet and greet for members and fans to come together, win great prizes, and answer fun trivia questions. The Superman homepage meet and greet is scheduled for Friday, June 10th at 10:30 a.m. inside Hardee's, located at 601 Ferry Street, not far from the Superman statue. There will be prizes to be won and giveaways for everyone who shows up, with lots of new and exciting games and interactive fun to be had. And that's all the news there was for the week May 13th to May 19th. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. So many people will probably tell me, it's over! Civil War has surpassed Batman v Superman at the box office. The movie's probably out of the theater in most markets. It was not a booming success, but it did make tons and tons of money. I don't think our DC movie universe is in too much trouble, although the Flash director did leave. There was rumors that James Wan was leaving Aquaman. That's not happening. He's since tweeted out a picture about rumor mongering and himself in front of an Aquaman picture. The Wonder Woman movie is finished. It's coming out soon. We will get the Flash movie. It's just going to be a different director. There are creative differences on many movies a lot, and sometimes directors do leave the film. That doesn't mean that our movie universe is crumbling. There's some strange petition online to get rid of Zack Snyder. Now, there are petitions on everything throughout the history of time. Fans to sign, people to sign, politicians to sign, political pundits to sign, regular citizens to sign. Save this, save that, stop this from happening, take Zack Snyder off the movie projects. It could happen, and I will say that it is a very different type of a feel from what you might expect from comic book movies. And the reason for that, what most people expect from comic book movies, is because of Marvel. Back in whenever it was, 2006, when they started the Iron Man situation, which led to this Phase 3, I guess, we're about to start in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's all been light, it's all been happy, it's all been goofy, it's all been jokey, and I love it. I loved Civil War. It was very, very good. Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters. I love Captain America. He's very Superman-ish. He just doesn't have a lot of powers. And a lot of times, for a lot of fans, that can make for a more interesting character. But, nonetheless, people can yell at me or whatever, that the film is over, it's time to move on to a different subject, but I have been breaking it down and analyzing it to a more detailed degree, and that continues this week as I talk about Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg was not anybody's choice to play Lex Luthor, not anyone's choice, except for Zack Snyder and whoever else goes into the casting process. When Eisenberg was cast, a collective cry not seen since Ben Affleck was cast as Batman went out over the internets and the interwebs and went out over fandoms everywhere. No! And then they fell to their knees and got put into a black suit and served the Emperor. Now, the reason for that is because Jesse Eisenberg is he's kind of nerdy, he's kind of like that. And he's nervous, he's fidgety, he's quirky, which is good for a lot of different types of characters, but not great for what most people think about when they think about Lex Luthor. And for me, I did a version of Lex Luthor in a Great Scott episode. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's a Lex Luthor press conference after the events of Man of Steel. And it was my thinking of how the storyline would go when introducing Lex Luthor into the movie universe. Now, I'm doing these videos at home. I don't have a production studio. I don't have great sound, but I think I did a pretty good job. And not to say that that would be exactly what I would do, but if I were cast, what I was looking for was a more animated series type of Lex, and you can kind of see it in my version when I do it. A bigger Lex, not that I'm huge, but a more impressive Lex, a more intimidating Lex, a more confident Lex, and that's a lot of what people were looking for in Superman. I've heard that same thing about Lex Luthor. Every version of every character in this movie can be torn apart, with the exception of maybe Wonder Woman, because we haven't seen much of Wonder Woman. She was only in it for a very short time, but the idea that Lex has never been a Joker character. Now, nobody wanted Jesse Eisenberg, but when I saw the movie, I was very impressed with his performance. I liked to not like Lex Luthor, which is what you want. He was funny. He was part of the humor of the film, not in a Marvel humor kind of way, which is endless quippy insults and things back and forth the whole time. This is a movie with a much heavier amount of drama and gravitas, but you do have some moments of humor, and a lot of it comes from Jesse Eisenberg's quick-witted responses to things and the way he introduces people. Clark Kent, Lex Luthor, meeting of the minds, I love bringing people together, which is not what you would want, generally, from Lex Luthor, and I still stand by that. It's not my favorite. However, when people say Lex Luthor is not a Joker character, he's not a Riddler character, I agree. When you get to near the end of the movie, when he starts acting like that, I don't think he was like that until the end of the movie, and there are some rumors, there are some ideas. My thinking is that even though they didn't put the Omega symbol on his forehead, he does talk about the bells have been rung, it's coming now, he knows we're here, things are going to happen. At one point in the comic books, Lex Luthor was an announcer of the arrival of Darkseid. His mind had been taken over, and I think that might be something like what's happening here. It is extra complicated, it is something regular moviegoers aren't necessarily going to have an idea about, but hopefully they'll clear that up later. My thinking is that Lex was pitch perfect in terms of being a master manipulator, knowing exactly what he wanted and making the other people get it for him. In other words, from the beginning, he wanted to slander Superman, and he had other people doing things to make him do it. He got the guy who had lost his legs in the Wayne Center attack. He knew that Bruce Wayne was upset about it. He knew that Bruce was sending him checks. He was sending them back. He set that whole thing up to make Bruce feel bad. Then he's setting Superman up the whole time to make him look bad, and it's working, and it's hurting Superman's feelings on himself. He doesn't know what he should do, and isn't it heroic to say, if a lot of these people continue to die and continue to do bad things in my name, wouldn't it maybe be better if I wasn't around? I've heard Superman fans say, Superman doesn't give up. Superman doesn't have doubts about himself. This is why, in a lot of cases, people who don't understand the character, don't understand that there have been as many versions and as many emotional feelings to Superman as there have been colors in the rainbow and more, think that he's infallible, think that he's boring because he just stays the same. You need a character arc in movies for a character to be entertaining. And Superman's character arc is he's figuring out how he should be. He's figuring out how to be a god among men, even though he doesn't think of himself that way. But the allegories in the movie give you that sense. And Lex Luthor is a man among men, but he believes himself a god, and believes he doesn't really say that. His whole thing is about God versus man. But he wants to get rid of Superman. Is it clear? Is it entirely clear what his motivations are? I think it's clear that he believes there's a danger present in having somebody above us. He, in his own mind, doesn't think anybody is above him. That's been a Lex Luthor thing forever. One of Luthor's very earliest origins is in the Superboy comic book, where because he loses his hair in an experiment trying to stop Superboy from getting sick from kryptonite radiation, he then blames Superboy for not saving him. That's why he becomes Superboy's ultimate nemesis, and later on to be Superman's ultimate nemesis, supervillain, and eventually starts wearing suits like this and trying to kill superheroes because he lost his hair. And if that's not a Joker-esque origin, even though we generally don't see the Joker's origin, the idea being that this was a brilliant scientist who went crazy because he was burned by Superboy, and now I will destroy everyone. And that was the very first, real... Lex was around before that, called Luthor in the comics, and he was either a scientific, mad scientist type of a guy, or he was a cackling supervillain. He has been all these incarnations, and I don't think he was that in Batman v Superman. What I think he was the first time we've ever seen the master manipulator get everything he wanted done. He does fail at the end, and I feel like he was put into jail a little too quickly, because I guess he'll get out. Although I don't expect a name like Jesse Eisenberg to come back. I also don't know what else they would have for Lex to do. His story might be done. We're moving on to Darkseid. There's a rumor that Steppenwolf, who was one of Darkseid's minions, is going to be the villain of Part 1. I don't think he's big enough to be the villain of Justice League Part 1. He could be there. He could come. No one knows who Steppenwolf is. Nobody. I guess in the Marvel movies, a lot of the villains, they don't know who they are either. You just make them interesting and you make it a good story, I suppose, and it works. But I thought Jesse Eisenberg did a real good job. I thought the writers finally made him a head of industry. He's not exactly a big, overconfident Lex Luthor that we might have wanted, but in a lot of ways he's better than any we've gotten, because again, he does manipulate both the heroes against each other, and he manipulates a lot of situations. He gets what he wants. He destroys the Congresswoman. He destroys things that get in his way, which is something Lex had always done. I will say I'm disappointed that he left Mercy in there. I wanted to see more of her. I was kind of hoping that she had like some martial arts, and we'd see her like be a security person. Don't you like my moves? But Eisenberg surprised me, because I was very against the cat. Not against, like I'm gonna pick it, like people were doing with Affleck. But it was a strange casting, and it's not the way I would have wanted Lex Luthor to go. And I'm not sure we're gonna see him again. I don't know that Eisenberg would want to come back. And as I said, I'm not sure what the next move would be with the character. He's in the Justice League in the comics right now. It's possible that he'll know that he's part of the reason things have gone down this bad path, even if he was mind-controlled, if they go that way. And he could end up in a suit working with the heroes to try and stop the situation, which turns his character around really quickly. But of course, if they do it correctly, he'll still have his own reasons, and he'll still be the evil guy who's Superman's nemesis that we all expect him to be. Although in this movie, he was Batman and Superman's nemesis, because he got both of them in a situation neither of them would normally have wanted to be, although Batman was also the villain of the piece and kind of wanted to be a murderer from the beginning. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, next week, Lois Lane. I guess whoever else goes into the casting process.
Boom.
It's kind of, but one of Lex Luthor's I love bringing people together.